Hi everyone, thanks for watching my talk today. My name is Kristen Metzger and I'm the science writer at Vera Rubin Observatory. And the title of my talk is Building Rubin Observatory's Communications Infrastructure to Reach New Audiences. So this is how I plan to structure the talk. I'm going to talk a little bit about Rubin communications now. I'm going to talk about Rubin communications in the future. I'm going to talk about how our communications documents were developed to get us from here to there and how they guide our activities on a day-to-day basis. I'm going to talk about three different documents: our communications strategic plan, our key messages document, and our voice guideline. So let me give you a quick overview of Rubin Observatory if you're not familiar with it. It's a brand new facility that's under construction in Chile, and it's going to perform a 10-year optical survey of the entire visible Southern Hemisphere sky starting in 2023. The public communications for Rubin Observatory will be done through the Education and Public Outreach Program, and that's also under construction. So the EPO team has had the luxury of having a few years to purposefully and thoughtfully put together comprehensive education program that's going to go along with the observatory. So they're not actually doing the program yet, they're building it so that we can do it when operations happen. But to be clear, Rubin Observatory is communicating now. We have a communications team that's separate from the EPO team, and I'm in the unique position of being on both the communications team and the EPO team. So I have a really good view of sort of how we're doing things now and how we want to do things down the road. So right now we are communicating with an audience that is mostly made up of science community members and what I call Rubin enthusiasts, who are people that will follow pretty much any astronomy project, no matter what it is. And our goal with them is to share information about Rubin construction progress. And we communicate in a pretty traditional framework. We make announcements through news items on our website. We post on social media. We answer direct questions on social media, and we have a bi-weekly newsletter that we send out. And the people that we're reaching with this type of communication, we don't have a lot of analytics. We do have some social media analytics that indicate that an overwhelming majority of that audience is over 75% male and over 75% over the age of 25. So again, take those analytics with a grain of salt. They're online analytics and they're not really comprehensive. We're going to do a much more comprehensive job of analyzing our audience when we're in operations. So also when we're in operations, our audience changes a bit. We are really trying to reach a much broader segment of the general public, and we've refined that audience to include science-interested teens and adults. And our goal is to inspire people and engage them with Rubin Observatory science. So Rubin Observatory EPO's mission is we provide online data-driven experiences that are accessible and approachable, adding real-world context and opportunities for people to engage with Rubin Observatory and explore the universe. So there's a lot in there, but I want to call your attention to the word approachable and the phrase opportunities for people to engage. These are two concepts that really drove the development of our communications infrastructure documents. So the first one I want to talk about is our communications strategic plan. And this was something that we developed over many months. It was a collaborative effort from the whole EPO team. And it gave us the opportunity to have some really quality conversations about what we're trying to achieve and how we want to get there. So the strategic plan clearly states our intention to find and engage with new audiences. And it documents how we plan to do this at a very high level. So it's really the what and why we want to do something. And now it's guiding us as we start to develop our more specific implementation plans, which are the how we're going to do those things. The strategic plan very, very clearly emphasizes modern communications channels and two-way engagement. One of the I think best examples of that is that our communication strategic plan has a whole section about social media. This is a channel we plan to rely on very heavily in operations because we feel like it's our best opportunity to reach audiences that are already online, they're already talking to each other, they're already comfortable there, and it's a great way for us to find new audiences and engage them with Rubin science. We can also do a lot of two-way engagement. It's not just announcing things to an audience, it's really trying to get them into conversations and to make them feel comfortable interacting with us. So the way that this is guiding us is that we've dedicated a substantial amount of resources to really pursuing how to use social media in the best possible way. So we've hired an entire full-time position that's recently been added to the team, and she'll be responsible for overseeing our social media accounts, but also for developing a strategic plan just for social media. And that's something that's very early on in the progress, but we feel as though it will really help guide us as we continue to get more specific about how we're going to use social media. We think there'll be details in there like using best practices to ensure accessibility, actively engaging with people, really trying to get that two-way engagement going, and building relationships with influencers, both within the astronomy community and outside of it, in order to reach even broader audiences that we might not reach otherwise. All along, as we've been developing EPO content and our website, we've been optimizing it to make sure that people can access it and on mobile phones, and it's easily shared on social media. So we're trying to really lower those barriers for people to see our content and to share it with their friends and family. The second document I want to talk about is our key messages document. And again, this was something that we all collaborated on and spent a lot of time developing. And we were very careful about the phrasing of these key messages. We really wanted to emphasize the human relatable aspects of science. So these are just a few examples from a longer list of key messages. But we want to talk about how scientists are real people with interesting questions that you might have too. We wanted to be careful to avoid phrasing like Rubin Observatory will detect, Rubin Observatory will observe, because the facility is not what's doing the observing and the detecting, it's scientists, it's actual human beings. So we want to be really clear that when we communicate about Rubin, we're doing it effectively and consistently using messages that are approachable and emphasize the human aspect of science. So as we create content for our EPO program, we're using these key messages to build our narratives around. And having them written down is extremely valuable because it helps us be consistent. It'll be a great resource for anybody who's communicating on behalf of Rubin Observatory to find guidelines and start their messaging here. They don't have to reinvent the wheel every single time. And then last but not least, and my personal favorite, our voice guideline. So every organization has a voice, whether they know it or not, and whether they think about it or not. We had the opportunity to be very intentional about how we want people to portray us, how we want to come across in everything that we produce, everything visual, everything text. We're going to have a personality, and we want to make sure that it's a personality that people will find approachable and, someone you want to hang out with and learn about science. So we chose these characteristics: conversational, playful, authentic, and enthusiastic, so that we can share accurate science information, but in a way that's fun and makes people want to engage with us and makes them want to hang around, because they're not required to do that. So we have to make sure that we are approachable and we're not putting people off. We're actively using this voice guideline as we create all kinds of different content, from our interactive experiences to our videos to the content that's on our website. We really try to come back to this voice guideline and really make sure that we are achieving that kind of playful tone, that enthusiastic tone, and that we're making things that look familiar and look friendly to people. So this color imaging tool you see on the screen is something that people might run into on Instagram. It's a way to colorize astronomical photos, but it's something that looks like what they've seen before. We've also got a little bit of video game imagery in some of our videos, and we think that, again, this will be something that people can really relate to. Ultimately, we want people to see what we're producing and enjoy and engage with our content and really feel like this is something that's for me. So the big question, will it work? We are going to start rolling out this EPO program in late 2022. And we still have about a year to develop more specific objectives and the methods that we'll use to evaluate our success. But we want you to stay tuned for updates. We hope to be able to report on some of the more specifics as we develop them. And we hope you'll engage with us on social media. As I mentioned, we do have accounts now, and you can watch the transition as we get to from where we are to where we're going. And we encourage you to reach out to us, reach out to our team. My email is here on the screen. We're happy to answer any questions you have about the whole EPO program or about communications in general. And we really look forward to your questions and your feedback. Thanks very much.